The inner critic, as we well know, is that voice that we all have inside ourselves that tells us we're no good, that judges us for being less less than it would like, and it really affects our self-esteem, our confidence, stops moving forward in our lives. And this visualization is a way of building more awareness around our inner critic, starting to notice it more in everyday life. And by building awareness around our inner critic, it allows us to gain more power over our inner critic. Whilst it's in our unconscious, it has complete control over us because we assume that, what it's saying is the truth, so don't make yourself visible, don't make yourself big in the world, don't take a risk, that kind of stuff. For example, we might take that as, that's the right thing to do, unless we start to realize, oh, this is my inner critic speaking. It's an internalized voice that came from somewhere outside of me, usually early on in life, or an assumption that we made early on in life, that we shouldn't take risks. Just as an example, I mean, as I'm sure you remember, there's lots of other voices that we can have as well: perfectionist, taskmaster, inner controller, you name it. So guilt tripper, conformist. Remember all these? But these are all just what a lot of people experience in terms of the the typical things that their inner critic says to them. Everybody has a unique inner critic, I'm kind of hoping that this exercise can allow you to start to notice your inner critic more, but also starting, and this is the really important part, starting to show yourselves more compassion, more self-compassion, because it's not something we're trained to do in this society, unfortunately. So, are you ready? Should we go for it? Okay, cool. So just making sure your feet are on the floor again. And closing the eyes. Taking a couple of deep breaths into the belly to ground yourself into this present moment. Noticing your body. Feet on the floor, the chair holding and supporting you. Allowing your body to come to rest. And now beginning to think about someone you care about very much, who's struggling in some way right now. So maybe a friend, family member, someone who's suffering in some way or struggling in some way. Bring to mind the facts around what the problem is, what the difficulty is. And also how it affects them, how it makes them feel, and how it affects their everyday life. Really notice this person and their struggle, their suffering right now. And in doing this, compassion will immediately spring up. You could say the noticing is the compassion. This kind, loving, caring feeling that notices. That's hard. That sucks. So noticing this feeling, can you place it in your body somewhere? Choose the first place that comes up. This compassionate force, where does it hang out in your body? Choose the first place that comes up, and then focus your attention there, still on this compassionate force, now anchored in the body. What does this compassionate force say? To your friend or family member, this person who's struggling or suffering? What kind of things does it say in response to this suffering? What's its tone of voice like? This caring, compassionate force. If it had form, what would it look like? If an image immediately comes, go with that image. But if not, what color would it be? Shape. Temperature. What would it feel like? Texture. See if you can really bring this compassionate force to life. And what we're doing here is building awareness of compassion inside us, noticing it fully. So let that compassionate force build in you for a moment. This caring, kind heart that notices suffering. And now put this to one side, not out of reach, just to one side for a moment. And now, starting to think about your inner critic, this judgmental, harsh, shame-inducing voice. When does your inner critic start speaking to you? What does it say to you? If it hung out in an area of your body, where would it hang out? Choose the first place that comes up. Once you've chosen that area, focus on it, that area of your body. Allow this critical, judgmental voice a moment to build in your awareness. Notice the things that it says and how it makes you feel. What would its tone of voice be? This harsh, judgmental, critical voice. Perhaps it's a voice you recognize from your past. Perhaps not. See if you can give this critical voice form too. What would it look like? Color, shape, texture, temperature. See if you can bring this force to life inside of you. This harsh, judgmental, critical voice. Now bringing back your compassionate force and allowing it to move beside your inner critic so they can have a conversation. Your compassionate force has noticed your suffering, how you suffer at the hands of your inner critic. So now it's showing compassion towards you. This is self-compassion. It notices how you suffer. Ask your compassionate force to explain the nature of compassion to your inner critic. This kind noticing. Look behind your inner critic. What need or want has been driving your inner critic? What need or want has been driving this judgmental voice? Ask your inner critic to move to one side and see if you can meet this need or want using this compassionate force instead. This one that recognizes how you suffer and is kind and compassionate towards you. How could you get this need or want met with this compassionate force instead? See if you can envisage that. Now letting your compassionate force build and grow, expand, until it obliterates your inner critic. And as this awareness builds in you, know that you can come and find it anytime you want. Just focusing on the area of your body where it hangs out. And now, as a way of ending, just wishing yourself well. May I be well. May I be peaceful. May I be happy. May I live life with ease. And when you're ready, opening the eyes.